One of our portfolio companies just raised $4 million. Let me walk you through every single slide from their 14-page deck that they used to raise that round. So firstly, as always, we start off with a really simple cover page. Next, they jump straight into the team. Now, from a venture capitalist's perspective, the team is always like the number one thing that you're looking at early stage, particularly pre-seed all the way through to Series A. Team is number one. So they include that right at the beginning. They break down who they are, their blurbs, and put some logos of the companies they've worked in before. Next, they jump into the problem. Now, you'll start to get the feeling for this deck. It's very, very visual, less wordy. That's because the problem they're solving is quite technical, and the number of funds that they'll be speaking to won't actually be technical or like savvy in this environment. So visually demonstrating it on the page is just a much easier way for someone to understand what they're building, and therefore makes their conversations much more productive. Then they jump into the opportunity. Now, this opportunity slide is actually kind of like market drivers. It's where the market is going. Now they jump into the problem, and they do a really good job of summarizing a part of the problem quite simply here. It's just one sentence on what the problem is for a user, and then they kind of break down how that problem actually plays out in a real environment. Now they talk about the solution, again, very visual, kind of walking you through the different steps in the product, and then how it works. This is actually the architecture behind the product, all on one page, kind of demonstrating how they process data and what the output is on the other side. Slide 8 is again another slide on how it works, very visual here. This is really, really good from an investor's point of view. Next, they talk about the competitors. Again, not many words here. They just explain what other platforms are doing wrong in one sentence, and it's quite holistic. And then they break down, using a Venn diagram, the different platforms they're competing against and where Querio, this company, where they sit in that Venn diagram. And now they talk about their differentiation, specifically titled Why Querio Wins. They break down the 3 key reasons in really nice kind of sections in this deck. Again, it's visual, but they include a bit more context here, some more words which help the reader understand the detail behind their differentiation. Now, one of the juicy slides, they talk about traction. They talk about where their ARR is and where they want to be, and a bit more about the journey from sort of when they started. They talk about their design partners, their average contract values, all on one slide. It's actually a really good visual but also holistic slide which explains enough. And now they talk about their go-to-market on slide 12. So they talk about top-down sales from where they are now, their pricing model, i.e. how much they're charging and what their pricing model actually is, you know, how they make money. Now they expand a bit more on the market. They're basically communicating and showcasing that it's a $3 billion industry or serviceable, obtainable market, which they think they can get to right now. But then they expand and say the TAM is actually $200 billion and it's growing. And then on the final slide, they highlight they're raising $4 million for 24 months of runway. Now this business has since raised this money, which is great. And this deck is very visual. It's very clean looking, not so many words throughout it. You've definitely seen decks which are more wordy, but I think ultimately it depends on the industry that you're building in and how much you're looking to raise. But make sure you save this video for later so you can refer back to it when you're raising and hopefully take some inspiration.